Hey, it's Les from Comfortable Shoes Studio, and this is another episode of art making. In this one, I'm going to show you all about a mark making exercise I learned way back in high school, and it's all about learning how to use your materials. So, there are lots of different ways to do this particular exercise. Um, the way I was taught was that you gridded off your paper and every square was exactly the same size, and then you used your dip pen and you made different marks in every square. You couldn't repeat the marks. You had to test out the ink pen in every way possible. My art teacher had lots of rules around this, and in my version of this, I kind of ignore the majority of her rules, and I just sort of make a bunch of different marks in a bunch of randomly shaped rectangles and squares on my page. I freehand the ruling. As you can see, I just kind of like finish a square and draw another square because that works for me. Um, so if your pen or tool can make a variety of marks, you're going to try and make every variety of mark you possibly can with that tool on this page. I do try, like when I do this exercise, to fill a whole page or the majority of a page, but there comes a time as you do this exercise where you start to realize what the pen's going to do. And sometimes at that point, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to do any more of these. Um, and that's fine. You get to a point in using pens and tools and things where you, after a few strokes and a few like little doodles, you know what the pen's going to do. And that just comes with time and experience. Now, one of the reasons you should do this exercise is because it really gives you confidence in knowing what your pen can and can't do. I also do this exercise with markers and pencils and other tools, and it just works really, really well for understanding the tool and how it's going to work. So each of these squares, you'll notice, uses a different sort of line. So you want to make a variety of marks, fill a section, whatever your section looks like, with the same style. So the section should be all scribbles, all cross-hatching, all the same line, wavy lines, whatever. So you want to vary things. You want to use the pen slowly. You also want to go fast with the pen because you want to see if the ink flow keeps up with your mark making. You want to get close lines. You want widely spaced lines. You want to cross-hatch and hatch. You want to try stippling with different sizes of stippling on your page. Make overlapping circles. Try making broken lines, wavy lines, partial cross-hatching, scribble lines. I like to use scribble as a cross-hatching method. So you make scribbles and then you overlap the scribbles. It works really well. Make lines that radiate out from one point that are straight. Then make wavy lines that radiate out from one point. Make short lines that don't connect with one another. Make short lines that do connect with one another. Make big dots or stippling. Try coloring it in really fast to see if the pen keeps up with your ink flow. Try layers of hatching. Try a scribbly hatch. Try making lines that go one inside the other. Loops, big wavy loops, tall loops, skinny loops, wide loops, whatever works. Like try loops. Small hatching, really thick line hatching. Go even thicker, or do widely spaced hatching, do closely spaced hatching, curved line hatching, spirals. I really like making spirals in my art journal. Those are really fantastic for learning how a pen works, particularly if you're testing out pressure. Some nibs or some markers will flex, and you'll get different line quality from a pen if you push down hard on it or if you push down softly on it. Um, Also, like I do this exercise when I get a new ink and I'm testing out a new ink and a new pen. That's really a great way at seeing how this pen is going to perform with that ink, but also how the paper is going to perform with this ink, depending on what you're going to be working in. You can also use this exercise with pens that you know in a new sketchbook. If you're trying to figure out how a sketchbook is going to respond to a particular ink or to a particular pen, you can really get to know that sketchbook really, really well with one of these exercises. And now in this video, I've tested out a bunch of different pens. I clipped a bunch of stuff out, but the one that you're seeing right now is the Sailor Fude de Menen Bamboo, and it's loaded with Rohr and Klinger sketch ink, the latte colorway. And I'm just kind of getting to know the pen. And here in this section, I'm using a Sharpie S gel pen. And for like a gel pen that is in a set line width, I'll do just a column to kind of figure out how that pen is working. And I absolutely do this just in my sketchbook or in my art journal. Right now I'm working in my Everything Everywhere journal, and just really getting to know how this paper is responding to all of these different pens. Um, and I'm really enjoying this exercise. I don't always enjoy this exercise, but it's one of these things that you can go to if you don't know what to do in your art journal. It's like, all right, I'm gonna get to know this material and I'm just gonna test it out. I should do a whole other video on swatching. Basically, what I'm doing is a version of swatching, but for a pen. And I really think it's a beneficial exercise. You're just really getting to know that pen, all of the ins and outs, how it's going to respond to your paper. I would say if you do use a toned page like I often do, you can see it on the right-hand side of the video, then you should do this exercise on a toned page. One of the things that I've noticed is some of my gel pens do not like writing on the pages that I put a heavier coat of acrylic paint on. The gel pen just can't catch on the acrylic and it skips and causes not a mess, but just doesn't work as well. So yeah, so this is just a super great exercise for figuring things out. You know, it test every pen. I don't show it in this one, but I'm going to do another video where I show a ballpoint pen. I'm going to show different colors of ink, and you know, that works really well. You can do any shape. You could do like a giant scribble and fill that in. And here I'm going to show you a test that I do pretty often. I draw skulls all the time. I draw them on things. I draw basically, like, a lot of my art journal is full of skulls. And so it's a go-to doodle and a go-to drawing for me. So I'm testing out 4 different pens with 4 different line qualities, drawing a skull. So basically I'm drawing basically the same skull over and over and over again. And you'll be able to see the difference in these images using a different pen. And this is another thing that comes up as you do these exercises. And that is that the line quality that the pen creates can really influence what your art looks like. So like, you know, this Uniball bold gel pen has a really static but thick line that looks one way, whereas the Fude pen has a really fat brush-like line that looks entirely different from this particular gel pen. It just really changes the vibe and the feeling of the pen. But you can manipulate some of that stuff through cross-hatching and layers of cross-hatching. Now I'm using a Jinhao, I think it's an 82 Fude nibbed pen. Again, this has an entirely different line quality from the Sailor Fude nib. This one's a little more brushy, a little more wet, has a slightly different angle for writing than the other one. And here I'm using a Moonman or Mahjong A2 pen, and it's got a blue ink in it, blue-green, Emerald of Chivor. Kind of teal, actually. And so this has a super extra fine nib, and it's really scratchy, and it has an entirely different line quality to all three other pens. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for being here. Hit that like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff button. And I appreciate you for being here. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Bye.